Welcome back, Fantasy Moto fans, to the PulpMX Fantasy Show, powered by Maxxis Tire. I'm Donnie from RotoMoto. In this video, I have 5 riders I want you to look at when making your picks for the penultimate round of Pro Motocross at Ironman, tips for the FFL, the weather report, race day schedule, and an early look at what my team could be come Saturday. And stick around till the end to find out how you could win race used and autographed memorabilia, even if you aren't good at the game. Much like how the 450 class had an injection of late season talent for round 9, the 250 class sees 6 riders return or debut this weekend, all looking to secure finishes inside the top 20. Of course, the loudest noise has been made for Hayden Deegan finally making his pro debut, as well as Gavin Towers, but Levi Kitchen returns to action just 6 weeks after breaking his wrist in a practice crash. The 450 class sees Antonio Caroli disappear as quickly as he reappeared after suffering a hands injury after going down at Budds Creek and having his appendage run over. Also of note, Brandon Hartranft is officially rolled out for the remainder of the season, with Justin Rodball filling in for the injured New Jersey native over at Twisted Tea Suzuki. For this weekend, I have 3 guys to target, 1 to avoid, and a high handicap guy for you gamblers out there, starting with the little class, working our way up. 250 All-Star, if you can't pick Jet Lawrence, I think you have to look at Joe Shimoda. The Japanese rider comes into Ironman with just 2 handicap, and that's okay, because he's been on the podium 70% of motos this year, including the last 12 in a row. In fact, you have to go all the way back to High Point in June to see him off the podium, and even then, he went 3-5. A double eligible 250 guy I want you to look at this weekend is Cameron McAdoo. With those 6 guys I mentioned earlier entering the class, the higher handicaps in the 250 class run a lot of risk, and I want a guy that I believe can finish top 10 ahead of them. Little Mac gets a bump to his handicap up to a 4 this weekend after a 10-17 day that doesn't look great on paper, but he was dead last on the first lap and still worked his way up to 17th. His other 3 finishes since returning from injury have been inside the top 11, and he was just half a lap from a podium finish at Unadilla, so I think Whackers has a chance for some big points this weekend at Ironman, even with those other competitors coming into the class. Over to the 450s, the All-Star spot gets easier now that both championship contenders are back from a 0. But which one do you take? I'm looking at Chase Sexton this weekend. I wouldn't fault you for picking either guy, but Chase simply has the numbers. His average finish is slightly better, he tends to get better starts, and he's been in the top 2 in 18 of 20 motos, while Eli has only done that 15 times. And without the red plate, Chase will be pushing to regain the momentum before they head off to the season finale in Paula next weekend. One guy that I am not a fan of this weekend is the retiring Alex Martin. Troll Train has put together a hell of a pro career send-off as of late, and has been a consistent threat just outside the top 10, but therein lies the problem. With just a 3 handicap, A-Mart would need to finish well inside the top 10 to really be worth any meaningful points. He only has a single top 10 finish back at Washougal, and even if he matched that and goes 10-10 this weekend, that's still only 56 points for you on the weekend. The high handicap hero of the round given to a rider with a handicap of 10 or more that I think has a realistic chance to score massive points this weekend if you're the type of person that likes to sweat out 70 minutes for a big payout. This weekend, I'm looking at the 450 privateer, Henry Miller. The Minnesota native comes into Crawfordsville, Indiana with a 14 handicap after a 24-19 day at Budds. Miller has raced 6 rounds outdoors, compiling 10 finishes inside the top 24 in his 12 motos, with 3 finishes inside the top 16. That's both a good floor to make double points and a high ceiling if he can put together 2 top motos in the same weekend here. Moving on to the FFLs, Justin Cooper remains the guy to beat early in the motos with 7 FFLs in the season and 5 of them coming in the last 4 weekends. He seems to have found his groove late in the season, and it would be hard to recommend anyone else over this Star Racing Yamaha rider. 450 side, the popular pick stays red, with Roxon notching another to put HRC Honda at a 70% success rate this season. It shouldn't be overlooked just how good Eli has been this year on the start though. Just tiny click behind both HRC guys, and he could be an interesting spoiler pick if you are looking to zig when the rest is zagging. The Ironman National in Crawfordsville, Indiana is the final East time zone race of the year, and we'll see qualifying kickoff at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. RotoMoto Patreon supporters will see the enhanced cheat sheet around 11:30 in the morning, with the basic qualifying cheat sheet hitting Twitterland and Instagram at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And finally, the picks lock and the gates drop at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific for 4 hours of live action that can be watched on MAV TV or streamed on Flow Racing. It's going to be a pretty typical Midwest August day on Saturday, with highs in the mid-80s with a bit of sun mixed in. But luckily, no precipitation on the forecast, so it will be nice and dry. Before I show you my early team, I want to talk about Maxxis Tire coming on for all 12 rounds so I can deliver these videos for you. You know Maxxis Tire, you know their MXST tire designed by the king of Supercross and my all-time favorite rider, Jeremy McGrath. It is the newest and most advanced tire in the Maxxis MX lineup, featuring an all-new tread pattern, compound, and composition to provide the stability, predictability, and traction that the upper tiers of motocross demand. The entire SGB Honda team runs Maxxis on their race bikes, including PulpMX show favorites and on-again, off-again rivals Alex Ray and Kate Clayson. Available at your local retailer and also at motosport.com. My Thursday team looks like this. Give me Joe Shimoda with a 2 handicap, Cameron McAdoo with his 4. I'll also take Pro Circuit teammate Ryder DiFrancesco at a 7, and rounding out the squad is Bar X Suzuki's Carson Mumford with a 6. 450 side, it's Chase Sexton at that 1, Sugar Shane McElrath with a 7, high handicap hero Henry Miller at a 14, and another Triple H candidate Josh Gilbert also with a 14. The prize for the highest championship league score at Ironman will be an autographed Joe Shimoda jersey, but if you're not great at fantasy, that is okay. If you want a chance to win something like this autographed Dean Wilson O'Neal jersey, consider joining me over on Patreon for just about $1 per week. You are entered to win race shoes and autographed memorabilia, and insiders and above double their entries, as well as an exclusive podcast talking fantasy stats on every rider in the field every week, and that enhanced cheat sheet that comes out every single Saturday. Link for that will be in the description below. And don't forget to follow at PulpMX Fantasy and at RotoMoto on both Instagram and Twitter for injury updates as the weekend rolls on, qualifying info and stats and banner throughout the race itself, and those fantasy cheat sheets once qualifying is done and wrapped. Thanks as always for watching the PulpMX Fantasy Show presented by Maxxis Tire. My name is Donnie, and may your chizzes chiz this weekend. Remember that 8 is great, and most importantly, have fun. Good luck, y'all.